Our guest today is Kristen Bielecki, and she is an intuitive crystalline grid architect, awakening and soul embodiment guide. She creates a safe space for those who are ready to deepen their self-awareness, transform imbalanced pattern to love, know and be their true source selves. Kristen has a passion for supporting people to have deep self-inquiry, the ability to listen to their soul, heart, thoughts, emotions, and physical body, and the strength to apply that what is felt and heard to be unified on all levels for a free and joyful life. She has co-authored international best-selling books, and she has an 8-year-old son who loves to garden. She loves to garden, hike, swim, and connect to Kristen. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you. So wonderful to be here with you today. Really appreciate you.
Oh, likewise. Thank you for being here. I want to dive right in, but before that, I want to ask you a little bit about your personal story and what made you to do the work you're doing. There's always something interesting in the story. So tell me yours.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I think for like many of us knew that who we were and had those inklings of experiences and intuitions as children, and I felt that deeply in a lot of ways, but didn't really quite understand it until my teenage years when things really started to open up for me, when I really started to connect more deeply with communication with nature and trees and recognizing that I saw the world a lot differently than most other people and really felt this deep connection that I still didn't quite understand, but I started to explore later in my early 20s when I just turned to meditation, I turned to yoga, I turned to trying to understand energy. And just through the years, my intuition just kept waking up and I understood it more. And I was doing medical intuitive work and energy healing. And then it progressed to 2013 when I was in a very interesting situation. I had a partner, we had a lucrative business at the time, and I had an ectopic pregnancy, and I was in this shift of going, I really just want to live my soul purpose, whatever that is. I just want to do that. And I had moved out of my partners. I ended my business partnership and went and sought out a hypnotherapist. I just got this message. I needed to go see this, QHHT practitioner. And I looked online and I saw the closest one to me, made an appointment. And during that appointment was the pivotal moment that has led me to this experience we're having right now. During our session, when she was leading me to talk to my subconscious, her higher self came through me to talk to her. And then when that finished, Archangel Metatron came through and started sharing all this information through me, and then asked us at the end if we would support and assisting creating the new earth. And after that, it was just full on acceleration, just a lot of training from Archangel Michael, Melchizedek, Mother Mary, all these different beings that just, they were changing parts of my body. I was traveling. I was being guided to travel certain places and do crystalline grid work. And I was shown how our experience works on a dimensional level of reality through source. It was profound. There's just so many different levels that I was shown and taught with the foundation that I would be supporting others in understanding who they were and really embodying themselves as their soul source and moving through all the traumas and, patterns, and also the earth as well, moving all the collective energy from the earth and beyond, as well as the other planets, so that we could really step into this place I feel that we're stepping into now, where we're understanding and having so much more access to this energy and to understanding more love and harmony and unity and balance in our creation, and knowing ourselves as creators and really stepping into that in a beautiful way. So that is the short of it. Give you a quick rundown of what took place for me to be here now and what I'm doing.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It looks like you were really a pioneer and way ahead your time. I can definitely relate to that, trailblazing path where I feel that really after COVID, more and more people are awakening to these ideas, right? There's definitely a mass awakening that happened after COVID. Is that your experience as well?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It seems like what I notice is that whenever there's going to be a mass shift in frequency through the planet, through our our cosmos, there's something that happens on our planet where there's either something that they're trying to hinder it, like the beings that have created the power, control, distortions on the planet, whatever, to keep us in our place, as we could say. And I feel that COVID was one of them, and it worked in ways that I don't think they understood. There was a way that it mass awakened people rather than kept people still asleep, if we want to use those terms. And so I feel like that was a major pivotal moment on a lot of levels, unconscious and conscious, with choices that were made. So yes, absolutely. Definitely people are waking up. I feel that a lot of people are either getting it conceptually, or they're just having these heart opening moments, and these experiences where they're recognizing that they don't live or see or experience life in the same way as everyone else, and they want to make those changes, and they want to heal whatever it is that they've experienced in life up to this moment, that allows them to feel that freedom even more and make the choices from their sense of self and knowing themselves on these deep levels. It's like, wow, who am I? What's really in here underneath all of these conditions that we've lived by, and allowing that to really open up and let that source energy that we truly are come alive. And I feel that the past few years, it's just been powerful to see how many people have created that change in their lives, and are choosing to step into this more light of themselves.
Yeah, and I think that our soul keeps calling us. It starts in whispers,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's maybe a little bit more louder, and then it can be really loud, and then it can even come in a form of almost like a turning point of an accident, or something that we really have to pay attention. And I think that we here on a soul mission, and our soul wants us to go through that path that we have signed for. And if we're not on path, then all these things will happen actually in our favor, so that we do listen. And so definitely COVID was one of those events for a lot of people at the same time, for the collective, and that's why the impact was also so profound, right?
Absolutely. It's interesting because when I look at it from that soul level, we say, oh, our soul is like calling us, and it's, nudging us, and we're having, the memories or the sensations or the experiences in life where things aren't working out, or things are working out, that are showing us, where we're supposed to be and what's really here for us. And what I'm also noticing that's really profound right now is the body intelligence, the elemental intelligence is really coming online with that as well. It's like speaking to us. It's like, we can no longer treat the body or, the earth in these ways, because it's also speaking to us saying, hey, I'm here and this is alive too, and really recognizing this as a union of living consciousness of source and the elemental makeup of the body, that it also inherently has all of this information. And now that the soul is really speaking, and we have more access to this source energy, every cell of our body is source energy, and is encoded with all of this information of or our origin. And so it's like when we can recognize both experiences, right, of this play of wisdom, the body's like, we need to rid of this density that we're holding, or the traumas that we're holding. So like you say, we may end up having some physical issues that show up because we're still holding on to something that the body's like, we can't, if the soul light's going to come, really, if we're really going to live that path, we need to shed that density. And I feel that's really what's happening right now, and shaping our reality and bringing us more internal. I know a lot of people are saying, wow, I need to just kind of shut everything off and go more inside, and that inside place is that vast expanse of source, of soul, that is really calling us home to ourselves, like in the body.
Right. Because our connection to source is through the body, right? Is
Yeah.
from, I think we've been told a lie for so many years by almost all religions that we need, we need mediation, we need middle people to get us closer to God. We need the priests and the rabbis and the, all those people that will kind of be the portal to get us to God. But really, it's from within the body that we can connect. And I think that, everyone that meditate knows that relationship where we just open to the intelligence, the divine intelligence to flow through, and we can tap into that source directly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so beautiful, isn't it? It's just so beautiful to really feel that within and recognize that. And what's really interesting, because I feel that we also had a little bit of that idea within the spiritual reality too, that we're ascending, and that we're going to leave our bodies and we're going to become, these light bodies. And, what I was shown on such a powerful level when I was in that deep guidance with the archangels and such was, this is the light body vessel. Our physicality, even though we may have thought, oh, this is dense, we're in form, and that's not the spiritual life. It's like, whoa, that I feel like a lot of people got misled that way too, of thinking, through ascension we're leaving or we're going to another dimension or whatever. And so one of the things that I love to share with whoever's listening here today is that not to judge what we call the 3D, not to judge the density, not to judge the form, because the form is an avenue, is source itself too, is living consciousness too. And 3D may feel uncomfortable because so many of us are sensitive to energy, right? And like what we're learning to do is be in form in a lighter way and to connect to reality from that place. So if we're perceiving through judgment, if we're perceiving that coming into a body was bad, or coming into this earthly plane was bad, then we're going to use escape through ascension or something like that, or another dimension, when really what's happening is the light wants to flow through the body. And even though we're going through these mass shifts on this planet that may not feel very good right now, we're the ones that are, if you want to call it, like you said, the soul calling or the soul mission, are here to stabilize that, so that as we become lighter and as we become maybe more sensitive to our existence, to energetics, as we're receiving and transmitting information through this body, that we're really learning how to embody that and shift those perceptions of not being safe. And a lot of that sensitives, we're not safe because of something that's happened lifetimes ago or something that's happened to our youth. And we're really here to shift that through our ancestry and the lines coming in. What's going to be coming in through children in the coming years is we're really going to have to understand how to support them in their sensitivity. It's already happening as we see it. We're already watching it with children. But it's just I feel like it's going to get more intense for them. And so we're going to be the ones holding the field and the information of how for them and parents to treat them as they're in their bodies.
Absolutely. I highly resonate with that with my own children. My boy's now 19 going for 20, and he's a super sensitive, super connected spiritual being in this body. And yeah, I have to constantly work with him about how to stay open, with his heart open, with everything that's going around, and yet grounded in his own body, in his own truth, knowing who he is and why he's here, and not getting caught up and drowned almost in what's going around. So absolutely, yeah, that's the work.
It is. And so it's isn't it, because I have a son that's 8 right now, and as you mentioned in the bio, and he's a boy, he's a straight up, he wants to run around and hit things and do the things, but he also has that real sensitive, attuned side, and we'll start talking about the soul and energy and different things. And so it's us, those, for those of us who are moms and dads or caregivers, that connect with children like this. It's like, okay, we have to really know our own attunement, and be able to step back and give them the space to explore and be, but also hold that container so that they can, have that safety to explore these, greater perceptions, because sometimes it does feel a little like, whoa, because the rest of reality isn't totally reflecting that yet. And so as these, as you called us, the forerunners or the pioneers, is that I feel like our children are also going to be that for the next group and wave of children coming in. And so it's like, wow, it's when we step back and look at the bigger picture and the progression of things, it's really a fascinating experience right now to be a part of. And sometimes it's not that easy when we're in it, the day to day. But, when we can step back and go, wow, this is pretty awesome. This is pretty incredible, and to maybe share those celebratory moments with our children so they, it doesn't always feel like it's, maybe heavy or uncomfortable, but it's like, hey, let's just play. Let's not even think about that soul mission right now. Let's just play. Let's just open up and have some fun, Yeah.
I want to ask you to talk a little bit about the 3D versus the 5D, just for those listeners that have heard those terms but don't quite understand them, or have a little bit of, some misinformation maybe. Would you be able to talk about it a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the things that happened when I was in my, multidimensional training was, I was getting taken to all these, dimensions, high up in the numbers to like even the 26,000th dimension. You know what I mean? And it was just like, whoa, and watching. Because, for those of us who have that perception, it's really going, let's start at the basics, just like we're in class, and you have your 2D where you're looking at your piece of paper, and your 3D is where you can see a little bit of dimension in it, right? And then you've got 4D where you can see even more around the box, if you remember in class learning these concepts, that reality made up, just like we know of our emotions and our thoughts, made up of many layers, right? Many layers. And each layer, each dimension has a function that creates the whole. It's just like if we look at our body, we have our skin, and then we have, maybe some fat, and then we have, all the veins and everything that runs through the blood and the fluids and everything. It's just these different dimensions of function that creates the whole body. And so when we look at reality as a dimensional field, it's just layers of functions that without one function or the other, there is no reality, right? Because they all work together, and it's all a play of communication, of information, of function, just like our brains working with functions of our unconscious and unconscious within our body. And so when we look at it from that perspective, when we can say, oh, wait, there's a function of the whole here. And we happen to be in what we call the third dimension. Right? But what's happening is even in the third dimension, all the other dimensions are playing a role, and we have access to all those other dimensions. And each dimension has, we may want to call it like we want to always go in that higher lower zone. And I tend not to do that. It's like, yes, it may carry a higher vibration of frequency, but we can embody those higher vibrational frequencies or dimensional functions in this body. This body is capable of that. And that's what we're learning to do, right? And that's what we're learning to function as. And, I was shown what each, I'm not going to go through, all the dimensions and the meanings and, what their functions are, because it's a lot of information at this moment. But the key thing is that what we're looking for is unity. And so when we come into that space of centered focus or presence or connection to ourself, that's when we really attune our body to the unified field where all those dimensions are functioning in harmony, right? Where all those dimensions are functioning in harmony. And it doesn't matter necessarily which one we're in or which one we're connected to. It's mostly going, how are we feeling and how are we choosing to be in more connection and more harmony within our mind, within our heart, within our soul. And we're not trying to get somewhere other than, how can I connect in with, the environment that I'm in right now in a way that I can accept it, a way that I can be with it and acknowledge that, yes, this may feel solid, but it's consistently communicating with, if we want to even go way out there to the central sun, to the 25,000th dimension, it's constantly communicating with that. But do we need to go there and be in that right now? No, because guess what? You're in a body. We're in a body. So let's choose to be here. Let's choose to be here and feel that great expanse of experience within the body, and then let our energy body, that is also continuously circulating source energy through all these dimensional functions, or else we wouldn't be here. Let that expand with it. And then as we learn, as you're saying earlier, as the people that meditate and come into this space, and we're learning to even just let our mind rest, to let our body rest, let our emotions rest, that will open us up to the greater expanse of reality, and whatever we're here for as a soul level, each one of us in our own function, then those things will start to just naturally open up, and we get to just be ourself, rather than trying to think of something that maybe we're having a hard time connecting to or understanding. Is going, let's learn what's here first. Let's learn what's here first, and then let all those other things open up to us. And I find that other people find that that's a lot more relaxing and comfortable than trying to constantly, reach out to something that we just can't grasp right now, because we haven't even grasped this yet. And so just really wanting to emphasize, let's learn to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's this saying, I'm sure you know of it, is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience and not the other way around. And really the most spiritual thing one can do is to embody their spirit in this body, because we are here. And it's interesting because you mentioned traumas, you mentioned wounds, and this is really the area of my passion and expertise, because I had so much of my own to overcome. And then I just, gain all those tools and all those ways. And then I started helping many others. And what I've realized is that really, part of our coping mechanism when we experience something that is super overwhelming is that flight, freeze, or fight, right? And so in freeze, we, some parts of our energy in the body just gets kind of frozen and pent up in places. Usually it can reside in a associated, part of the body to the actual trauma. Like, we know that grief can sit in the lungs, and fear can sit in the kidneys, and so on. And when it comes to flight, then parts of our soul actually leaves the body because it doesn't feel a safe space, right? You mentioned the body as a safe space, and I think that safety is really our fundamental basic need as human beings, right? And then there's the fight, which is very high sensitive pain body, that anything can just trigger a response. And there's something that I've recently also came across, which was really profound for me, is another way of a fight response is just push too hard and work too hard and grind and hustle and be in that constant chase almost for value. And so really the work is to bring all of ourselves right into this body, and all these defragmented parts of ourselves, all those knots, energetical knots that we have in the body, to unlock them so that we can really take space in this body and embody it fully. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? How our physical body functions, and all the chemicals that take place, and all the responses, and how the brain works, and how it is that since we have that information, we really can, learn how to identify. Because I definitely I had the fight response, I had the fight response. And I definitely, I know those, experiences where, you have those intense experiences, whether it was, judgment from others, or, you weren't tended to, maybe neglect or abandonment, or maybe there was, actual physical abuse, or maybe there, it was just emotional, mental, or maybe a lot of times too, we just carry it through from other lifetimes as well. And we're still playing it out. We're still perceiving reality or the body as unsafe, and like everything comes through that lens, right? And so it's really powerful when we can really resolve that energy, really resolve how the perception is of those and have that deep sense of compassion and forgiveness. Because, one of the things that I talk about, and I think sometimes at first for some people it's really challenging, is that when we take on that experience of accepting ourselves as creators, and that we came in and we created these experiences for ourselves, and that maybe our parents or other people, played these roles that created these traumas, and, these wounds. And it's going like, wow, it takes a lot of energy or sometimes effort at first to say, okay, can I accept that? And then create the forgiveness and the compassion for ourselves for what we chose to come into this life to experience, and what this body went through, what our minds and emotions and everything went through, and heal that, heal that place of going, wow, and connecting with our inner child and connecting with those places. And that's something I also lead people through, is going into those deep places and making amends with ourself, making amends with ourself and supporting the healing on all these different levels. And then when it feels good, to be able to bring that compassion and forgiveness to the other people that were a part of that experience, because it's profound, it's profound. And then even going into other lifetimes, because most of the time what we chose in this lifetime is still a reflection of other lifetimes. So I also work on those multi-dimensional levels to let's have a full healing, right? And totally shift gears. And with what you've done with yourself, I think what we've all done with ourselves, it's so amazing when we finally can, not be in those automatic unconscious responses and lenses and perceptions of reality. And we can actually start to feel that freedom of choice, of how we're going to move and be and feel and experience. And I feel that's what we're really shifting into right now, is more and more people are doing that. And you can feel it through the collective. People are relaxing more into their bodies, and more of the soul, as you were saying, more of the soul can then come in, because there's space for it. Because when you're saying those knots, it's like, even in our energy body, we have all these places where energy is stored, that we're holding it. And it's almost like it is actually a living consciousness of all the times we've put energy into a reaction or a response or a thought or a feeling. And then we get to call all of our power back from all of that. And then we can have, that power again to be our soul, and to move differently and feel differently. And I'm just in awe at what we get to be aware of and create at this time.
Yeah, thank you. So beautifully said. Thank you so much. I know that you have a beautiful gift to share with our audience. Would you like to talk about it?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So, since really what we're coming into is union right now, and we, look at polarity, I was really guided to create a process to bring divine feminine and masculine and these, what we call these polarized aspects of ourselves, into union. And so there's a short version and a long version of going through different levels of our consciousness, of our subconscious, of our physical body, of our energy body, to bring all of this energy into a centered place of connection, of union within, so that we can access just the love and the joy and the harmony and the peace and the calm that really resides within, and feel that strength of the foundation of being in our bodies. And so it's just a guided meditation to bring us into union.
Beautiful. Love it. I love the union of the feminine and masculine. I really think it's key to understand how we can activate and bring online those two energies together, because they are very different, right? They are, as you said, in polarity. And when we find that sweet meeting, that's when magic of creation happens, right? Anything that we want to create in our life. So thank you for that. That's very generous of you. And before we wrap up this conversation, is there any takeaway you want to leave us with?
I really appreciate what you just said, is, just that's the magic sweet spot, right? And just that encourage you, whoever's listening, that, all the challenge or the effort that it does take, to go through our healing and to recognize, the parts of ourselves that we haven't liked, or the parts of our lives we haven't liked, when we can really come into the love and the acceptance and the forgiveness and the healing of all of those places, that is that magic, that is that sweet spot that really opens us up to the level of life that we're really yearning for inside. And so just encouraging you that just to keep going, keep on the path, and it's worth it. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Kristen, so much. You are radiating beauty, and I absolutely love your energy and all that you do in the world, and blessings your way. And yeah, thank you for being you and showing up.
Yes, appreciate you so much. Yes.
And everyone else, ciao for now. Until the next time, lots of love from me, Nuna Isi, signing off.